Welcome back to Columbus, Ohio, here at Nationwide Arena. It is a packed house to see the Islanders take on the Columbus Blue Jackets. It's their first meeting of the season, and it is a Metropolitan Division matchup. Closed captioning is brought to you by the New York Lottery. Hey, you never know. While we have a chance, let's take a look at our Lexus upcoming schedule. The Islanders road trip, it seems never ending, but it is coming to a close. They're going to play here in Columbus tonight. And then they're going to be at the Garden on Tuesday, a big matchup with the Rangers, 7 o'clock on MSG+, before a home game hosting the Pittsburgh Penguins, who they've been dueling with for first place in the Metropolitan. That's Friday. Then it's on the road again to play the Canadiens at their home arena. But now it's time for Puck Drop. Let's go up and join Butch and Howie.
All right, Shannon, thanks very much. And this is a building, beautiful though it is, where the Islanders have had virtually no success since the Blue Jackets came into the National Hockey League. The Islanders won 7-2 in this building. So Chad Johnson, who this year is 5-5, will try to send that record on an uptick. And meanwhile, at the other end for the Blue Jackets, Sergei Bobrovsky, who played and lost last night in Toronto, comes right back tonight.
Yes, and he's been very good against the Islanders, albeit a lot of his wins have come with the Philadelphia Flyers. But he's 10-2 career-wise with a .942 save percentage. So he likes to play the New York Islanders. And Chad Johnson's hoping to change the fortune of the Islanders here, as you mentioned, in Columbus, because they have not done very well. It's a big game for Chad Johnson. Wants to reestablish his credibility in the pipes.
Well, the Islanders going to start out with Brock Nelson between Michael Grabner and Nikolai Kulemin. And this is Nelson right away to the slot with a shot that deflects wide. Leddy and Boychuk are on defense for the Islanders. Ryan Johansson. This has been a red-hot line for the Blue Jackets. Johansson, number 19. Scott Hartnell, number 43. Up front along with Nick Foligno, wearing number 71. Islanders still in the Columbus zone as Leddy lets go a drive that skips wide. Comes back to Grabner, and he sets up Leddy for a shot. They score! That might have been tipped in by Kulemin, but the Islanders at the 31-second mark of the first period have taken a 1-0 lead.
Talk about coming out of the chute in a real hurry. The Islanders took control with the opening face-off, managed to get the puck down into the Columbus Blue Jacket zone, and then went to work. Great forechecking, great recovery, puck recovery, and you can just see using their points. Nick Leddy gets that shot, and that's deflected. I believe that might be Brock Nelson because it went straight left to right. Not sure if Kulemin also got part of it as he was screening the goaltender. So that might have been a double deflection, Howie, but what a tremendous start for the Islanders. Both teams played last night, so no excuses. The only change really of Bobrovsky in his back-to-back game, and Chad Johnson, as you mentioned, he's a rested goaltender.
And so the Islanders with the early lead, trying to change their luck in this venue. And the Tavares line is out for New York, but here comes back Calvert, number 11. Off to Brandon Dubinsky, the former Ranger, number 17. Played it to the blue line to Jack Johnson, number 7. Hamonic squeezed into the boards by Calvert. Cam Atkinson, number 13, rescues the puck for the Blue Jackets. Hamonic slaps it back the other way. And Oposo slips it up the boards. Tavares does not cleanly connect with Josh Bailey. And it's sent back ahead by Savard. It's David Savard, number 58 for Columbus.
Look to see Dubinsky out against Tavares a whole lot in tonight's game. Dubinsky is the checking center, if you will, for the second line for these Columbus Blue Jackets. Does a terrific job. Dubinsky plays hard, good on faceoff, scored 16 goals last year, so he certainly can contribute offensively as well as defensively.
And the starting lineups tonight brought to you by Affinity, luxury cars that deliver inspired performance. On comes Lee for a backhander that clipped the side of the net. Now Franz Nielsen to Hickey. He feeds the slot. Lee was well covered. And the puck can't be held at the line by Nielsen, but the Islanders maintain possession. Hickey, a neat little drop for Strome. He centers for Lee, just missed it. Cizikas played it back to the blue line. Straight winds it to Cizikas. Now to Strome. Circles the net, feeds the blue line. Hickey works it across. Straight backs up, floats one that's kicked aside by Bobrovsky. Islanders getting pressure again. Here's Hickey letting go a drive, and that missed the net. Straight keeps it in. A shift for the Islanders here.
Another job where the Islanders have their feet moving and using their defensemen to create offense once they've able to gain control. That was a nice save by Bobrovsky on that shot from Ryan Straight, who just wristed it towards the net.
Boychuk failed to clear initially. Now Johnny's got the puck again, takes a hit. Blue Jays recover. And going to work is Corey Trump, number 26. Put it out in front, steered wide. And Martin for the Islanders just scoops one out of the New York zone.
Good to see Clutterbuck back. I think he really enhances that fourth line, Howie, with that antagonistic attitude that he has. The hitting, the good slap shot. It's a good fourth line. Good to see him back in the lineup.
Yeah, he's in. Mikhail Grabowski out with the lower body injury. Brock Nelson hit by the former Islander James Wisniewski in the corner. Wisniewski, number 21. Work back to Hamonic now at the line. Wrist one that changed direction. There's going to be a penalty here. There was interference, perhaps against the goaltender Bobrovsky, meaning the goaltender was interfered with, and the Blue Jackets will get a power play as Kulemin goes off.
Now we'll take another look at this goal. We think it's going to be Kulemin's goal, who's now in the penalty box. So you give a little, you take a little, but Nikolai Kulemin's been looking to get a goal. Watch him in front of the net, and it just caroms off of, I believe it goes off his stick in front of the net. Watch the above, and it goes straight left here. A real good deflection anyway in front of the net, a good screen shot, and there's the interference driving towards the net. You have to be so aware of that crease area when you are trying to screen the goaltender.
And now the Blue Jackets on the power play. Johansson shot is blocked. Kevin Connaughton, number 4, to Johansson. Ryan Johansson with a couple of Islanders on him. Moved it around to Foligno, but it can't be held by Wisniewski. Now he's in a chase that he loses to Strome. He fires, and Bobrovsky makes the save.
Real good power play by the Columbus Blue Jackets. 3rd overall in the National Hockey League.
The goal was Kulemin's from Leddy and Grabner at the 31-second mark. And now the Blue Jackets to the power play. Connaughton, number 4, fed the slot past Johansson. Grabner ahead to Cizikas. One man back. It's a forward, Foligno. And he makes a nice defensive play on Cizikas.
And not only can he score goals, he signed a 6-year extension to his contract, but can play a little bit of defense also. Well, if you're going to play the point, you've got to be able to skate a little bit.
Here comes Dubinsky with a drop for Johnson. In it to the power play. Jack Johnson, let's go. A drive, they score! A power play goal, and the Blue Jackets have tied it 1-1.
Long-range foul by Jack Johnson. He lets that shot go set up quickly on the point. Not sure if Chad Johnson even got a good look at it. Dubinsky's able to penetrate the offensive zone. Watch the front of the net, number 11, Calvert. And that puck just wires by Chad Johnson. You can see Chad Johnson's not able to pick that puck up. Goes on the outside of him, the stick side. And the Columbus Blue Jackets have tied this game up. A couple of goals before the 5-minute mark. A little different than last night's game, Howie, where we waited a long time for anybody to score.
Deep into the second period. Meantime, Johnson, the former 3rd overall pick of the Carolina Hurricanes, who is a -21 on the year coming into this game. It's tied for worst in the National Hockey League.
Yeah, that's
the equalizer.
Yeah, tough season for him, and he's had an awful lot of ice time because of all the injuries back on defense. And of course, we know the well-documented story with him and his family. So just to add to his trouble, so it's been a tough year all the way around for Jack Johnson, but the -21 doesn't tell the whole story, it just tells a little bit of the story.
This story is 1-1 early. And here's Hamonic putting it in front, steered wide by Tavares. Bobrovsky might have gotten a piece of that. Hamonic works it across, cut off there by Calvert. And the Islanders recover. And Tavares winds it right back in, takes a tricky carry. A Coliseum-style bounce.
And number 17.
Well, they've got his Zamboni corner too. And the puck sent in by Atkinson.
The Islanders just can feel a little bit more comfortable in this building when you talk in those veins.
Tavares brings it in. Drops it off. Oposo, a shot. Kick save, Bobrovsky. Comes back to DeHaan. He fires. Kick save made by Bobrovsky.
Bobrovsky very, very good down low, Howie. You've got to be able to get the puck up on this guy to beat him.
Johnson's goal from Savard and Dubinsky at 4:22 on the power play. Johnson's 4th of the year. And the Blue Jackets with the 3rd best power play in the National Hockey League, and they cash in early.
The guys that can really shoot the puck from the blue line, Savard and Johnson, and all you need is a screen. If you can get it by all those guys, got a chance.
Cizikas surrounded. Blue Jackets just about boxed him in. For Dalton Prout takes Cizikas into the boards. Now it's played by Fedor Tutin, number 51, down to the near side. Prout taken back in by Martin for the Islanders. And the puck recovered initially by Alexander Winberg, number 41. First-round pick not quite 2 years ago yet by the Blue Jackets.
Crouch, that young man that laid a pretty good punch on Heatrick in Boston, knocked him down. Not many people can do that, so obviously he has some toughness to his game.
Bruins won today. They beat the Flyers in Philadelphia 3-1.
Bruins playing really well, getting back to that old style of hockey, good defensive hockey, limiting the opposition to very few opportunities. So the rest of the league should be on alert.
There's Leddy dropping it towards Grabner. Throws one to the net, but squeezed by Bobrovsky, and there's no further play. So the teams have traded early goals. 6:36 in. Well, we're even here, and Tuesday night on MSG Plus, it's going to be quite a night at Madison Square Garden. Really the first time in 20 years that the Islanders and Rangers will have played a game at the midpoint of the season with both teams elevated where they are in the standings right now. Islanders and Rangers featuring Rick Nash. Live coverage at 6:30 with Visa Islanders Game Night. Islanders and Rangers Tuesday night on MSG Plus.
There's one of my former players, Todd Richards, coached him in Las Vegas.
And in spite of that,
well, who would have thunk that he went on to be a coach, but he's had some pretty good success. Won a Calder Cup as a player. Turner Cup in the IHL as a player, so this guy knows about winning.
Did you, in all seriousness, when you coached Richards, see something that told you he could coach one day? Or
well, he was a thinker. You know, for me, anybody that's going to coach is someone that thinks about the game. And, you know, he played on the power play along with a guy named Jean-Marc Richard. And our power play in Vegas was #1 on the National Hockey, or excuse me, the IHL at that point in time. So you could see that, you know, that there's a possibility at some point in time he might want to get involved just because he thought about the game.
Nick Leddy shanks a shot. And it's played ahead by Foligno and then steered around the boards by Hartnell. Leddy's got it again. Sidesteps a big attempted hit by Foligno. Nielsen gets out of the way of the hard-charging Hartnell. Now Boychuk plugs it in. Strome just stayed onside, but Boychuk was shown a seat.
Jack Johnson with a good legal hit. Boychuk had to reach back for that puck, Howie, and that's a little off balance, and that's why Johnson was able to get a pretty solid check on him.
Strome put a pretty good hit on Foligno as well back in the Columbus zone.
And one thing we've learned about the Islanders is they won't shy away from the hitting game. They're involved in it themselves. Columbus Blue Jackets third in the league overall in hits, so they're a very physical team. This could turn out to, at some point in time, to get a little more physical than it's been so far. It's been a skating game. The Islanders are well-versed at any type of game, which is a good sign.
The Islanders have outshot the Blue Jackets early on here, 10-1. The only Blue Jacket shot is the one by Jack Johnson, which beat Chad Johnson. No relation. There's Bailey in the corner. Moving it around the boards. Tavares grabs it. DeHaan throws one down low. Swept wide by Oposo, who's in the midst of being taken off balance.
Only tremendous play by Trout in front of that net. Kyle Oposo wide open with the puck and an opportunity to bank it into the empty net. But Trout, the defenseman who has just been inserted in tonight's game, didn't play the other night in Toronto.
Blue Jackets actually scored first in that game last night in Toronto, and then the Maple Leafs got 4 straight in that first period.
A couple of power play goals. Kessel and JVR combining for a couple of those. Now we talked about the physical play of the game. Johnny Boychuk will lay a couple of good ones on you, but you can see that he's looking back just a little bit. Lost control of the puck. Jack Johnson steps up. Nothing wrong with that check. It's clean. And there's the Kyle Oposo chance. He's just not able to turn his shoulders completely towards the net and get that puck all the way around in front of him. Of course, Trout was all over his back, so that made things a little bit more difficult. Hate that when it happens, Howie. I just like to be left alone in front of that net, just for an instant.
I understand. You need your space.
Time and space. We talk about it all the time in this game.
You must have been big in Vegas, now that I think of it. How long were you there coaching?
I just was there the 1 year. And
they ran you right out of town.
Well, it wasn't because of my gambling. I'll tell you what, they didn't get anything from me. So that's probably why they asked me to leave. You don't spend any money here.
Did they pay you enough to gamble away?
I had a lot of fun in Vegas. It was a very, very good city, and I enjoyed it a whole lot.
Well, when we get more of an opportunity, it's always a discussion in the NHL, particularly because they seem to make the most noise about it. I'd love to get your thoughts, having work there on whether or not it would be a viable professional sports town for a lot of reasons. There have always been questions about Vegas, some of them obvious. Meantime, we've got just under 11 minutes to go here in the first period. Yeah, big hit delivered by Bohl on Martin. That's no rarity. Jared Bohl is the Columbus Blue Jackets franchise leader in penalty minutes. He is a very physical player, and he went after another physical player, Matt Martin.
Martin certainly will fight. Saw him fight last night, and of course he's the NHL leader in hits for the last couple of years.
Islanders going to get a penalty here. I believe it's going to be on Martin. And so a delayed penalty. Bobrovsky just now heads towards the bench as the Islanders try to regain possession, and it's ruled that Kuhlman does. And so Columbus, who scored on their first power play, are going to get another chance.
Yeah, that was a very dangerous play there by the goaltender leaving the net when the puck was sort of up for grabs, and Letestu and Matt Martin were kind of swatting at it, so it could have easily have gone into the net. Instead, Matt Martin will go into the penalty box to serve his 2 minutes. But for me, Howie, it's always about, as we watch these two go at it, back that's Connaughton at first, and then Letestu gets in there. I'm not sure how Matt Martin gets tied up and gives up with the 2 minutes, because he was kind of being 2-on-1, and that's unfair odds. Those are just two guys tussling one another. But be that as it may, the Islanders are going to have to do a better job on their PK. They've been pretty good over the last 6 or 7, 8 games. 1 for 1 in tonight's attempts.
Holding on Martin, 9:38. Johnson puts it out in front. Missed there by the now fallen Foligno, who was knocked down in the process. And down the boards comes Savard. Hamonic cuts it off, finds Nielsen. Good slip back to DeHaan. He sends it all the way down.
Yeah, talk about awareness. Frans Nielsen always looking around. Hockey sense galore. And real nice play, as you mentioned, to DeHaan to the easy clear.
Now the puck dumped to the corner. Johansson gets there, steers it back towards the point. Johnson's got it. Johnson or Johansson. Quick shot by Atkinson goes wide and comes out of the zone. Ryan Johansson has scored goals in 5 straight games. He has points in 9 straight. That's 6 goals in those 5 games. Now Atkinson moving into the Islanders zone, spins it around the boards, kept alive by Dubinsky. Work back to the line. Wisniewski moves up. Wisniewski setting up a screen. Skipped one off the net.
James Wisniewski possesses a very, very good shot. You can recognize that from his former days as an Islander.
Wisniewski to Connaughton. And he throws one to the net that's batted away.
Connaughton's been real good since they grabbed him from the Dallas Stars. He's got 2 game winners already, Howie, so not bad for a pickup to replace some of your injured guys that have been on defense.
26 left to the power play for the Blue Jackets. They're bringing into the Islanders zone. Kept alive at the line by Connaughton. Calvert trying to make a play. Couldn't get it towards the net. But then it goes through Connaughton's legs, and the Islanders might have a 2-on-1. Strome with Grabner. Strome shoots. Bobrovsky the save. Strome got the rebound, but so did Bobrovsky. Great shorthanded chance for the Islanders.
Ryan Strome, that puck got through Connaughton at the blue line, and Michael Grabner and Ryan Strome are away to the races on a 2-on-1. The right defense just doesn't give Ryan Strome ever any opportunity. Wisniewski plays it well, says, go ahead, handle the shooter. And Bobrovsky makes a big save as he establishes that big body. He makes himself look a little larger than he is at the top of the circles. And Ryan Strome, that's that shot goal, which is the right thing to do, because Wisniewski was not going to allow that cross-ice pass to Grabner.
Martin's out of the box. The Islanders kill the penalty, so the team's at full strength. Columbus 1 for 2 on the power play now. 8:10 to go. First period of a 1-1 game. Here comes Tavares. Bothered from behind, hooks up with a Poso. Bailey over on the other side. She's straight coming down the boards. And the Islanders retrieve it. Leddy nudges one towards Bailey. But that's cut off by Wenberg. Trout plays it ahead and went off of Leddy. Covered by DeHaan.
Scotty Hartnell looking for that breakaway pass. The ex-Flyer has been a real asset, as you would expect him to be for Columbus, bringing the heart and soul type of play as if it's game in and game out.
The numbers have been pedestrian at best. I mean, he's only got 8 goals and 15 assists, but they love the dimension of experience and leadership and personality. I mean, he's a funny guy and keeps his team loose, and they love that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? Yeah, last year he scored 20 goals, but like you said, Howie, he does have 8, so he's not way off pace.
For the Blue Jackets, this is game number 40, which is still 1 shy of the halfway mark. The Islanders technically beginning their second half of the season in this game.
Well, you mentioned a couple of, the Blue Jackets, a horrendous start. There are a lot of guys out of the lineup, and Easonoff's still out of the lineup, and Jenner is out of the lineup. And we're talking about 38 goals not being there, so Columbus have had a tough go, not only with personnel, but with missing goals.
And they missed Brandon Dubinsky at the start. He had abdominal surgery, and that cost him 6 weeks.
Dave Martin is still out, although he's been
could be
pretty
done.
much. Yeah, he's been pretty much, hasn't been very healthy guy ever since the Blue Jackets acquired him or signed him.
Back problems. 6:24 remaining here in the first period. And Lenny back to play it. Sidestep some of that hit from Letestu. How did Letestu not wind up playing with the Devils, with Ruutu, with Tutu? Bobrovsky is saved, and the rebound chipped back to him. And it's still loose. Bobrovsky covers. Ruutu and Tutu are there. Letestu is here. And the Islanders and Jackets are tied at 1. All even here in the first period. No matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, you don't have to miss a minute of the Knicks on MSG. Introducing MSG Go, the only app that lets you watch MSG Network's coverage of live Knicks games anywhere. Download now in the App Store or Google Play. MSG Go is currently available to Optimum subscribers.
Just checking out a couple of statistics here, Howie. 14-2 for shots on goal for the Islanders, but the Blue Jackets are out hitting the Islanders 19-4, so which is the better stat? Not sure. It's 1-1.
5:56 to go here in the first period. Calvert tried a spin move and eventually dumps the puck in. Now Dubinsky to the far side. Brandon Dubinsky feeds the blue line. Tootin with a drive. It's stopped. Here Lou Lamoriello's interested in him too. Calvert along the board.
He might be interested in a lot of players right now. This team struggling big time offensively. Anybody can put the puck in the net and lose and have some interest.
Grabner to Dahan. Let's go a shot. Bobrovsky will gather it back in.
Well played by Bobrovsky, just on a perfect angle and able to hold his position as that shot by Dahan as he jumps up on the play. So the Islanders defense are getting involved, which is always an important element to the Islanders' success. We take a little look at John Tavares, who was really heating up. And what a display that was last night in that overtime goal. I mean, just the work he put in, strip Larson of the puck, and then have the wherewithal to have the poise, the patience to get past Henrique, and then still get your head up and find a way to score a goal. All those things happen in a very short period of time. This speaks volumes about the talent, the skill level of John Tavares.
And his first goal was a terrific one, too. I was talking to him about that earlier today, the one that he banked in off the goaltender, Keith Kincaid. I'll tell you about that in a moment, as the Blue Jackets have the puck deep in the Islanders zone here. Behind the net, it's Foligno. Foligno looking for room. Out to Savard. And now Johnson. 4:46 left in the first. Johansson. Draped by Hamonic. Johansson just shrugs him off. Nice play. Feeds the slot. And then it's snapped wide by Atkinson, and the Islanders take over.
And that's why, some people talk about him and Mario Lemieux, and when you have that kind of strength, that kind of confidence, that vision, and those hands, a lot of good things for a youngster.
Bailey's shot covered up. 4:23 to go, first period.
Welcome back to Nationwide Arena. After the Islanders jumped out to an early lead, Jack Johnson scored for Columbus, making this a tie game here in the first period. I'm pretty sure Jack Johnson is a fan of the other Jack Johnson and probably banana pancakes. But when it comes to the Isles and what kind of music they like, you're going to have to stay tuned to the Ford Intermission Report to find out what's on their iPod playlist. It's all coming up in just a couple of minutes, guys.
I thought Shannon might have been talking about the former heavyweight boxing champion, Jack Johnson. That's a long time ago.
Before she was born, again.
Before her grandparents were born, maybe. 4:15 to go in the first. And by the way, I read about it.
Stan saw it.
Moran in the corner. Now for Collins, number 37. A little bump there by Boychuk. Against Wenberg, and a good save made by Johnson.
Wenberg, only 20 years old, Howie, played in the World Juniors just this past year. 7 points, pretty good young player, just learning his trade from Stockholm, Sweden. Almost first-round pick.
And a chase for it now will go far enough for an icing. No. So, wow. And so now for Tooten with 3.5 to go in the period. And Atkinson goes down. Knocked off balance by Calvert. Dubinsky goes to the corner and feeds the blue line. Tooten's drive blocked. Comes back to Calvert. Taken in by Brian Straight. Now to the blue line. Crowd off the board. Lets it go. That changed direction. And Clutterbuck gets rid of it. 3 minutes remaining in the period.
A pretty evenly played period thus far, and both teams have had a couple of opportunities. Obviously, both teams have scored 1 goal.
The shots are 15-3 Islanders, but I wouldn't think that's a real fair representation of the territorial play.
Yeah, you don't get the sense that they've been overwhelmed.
Grabner hits the post. Grabner with a good chance. And Bobrovsky heard that friendly sound behind him.
Perfectly played angle, that's what they'll tell you. But as Jack Capuano, in assessing his team, I think would be pretty happy. As you mentioned, 16 shots to 3. They haven't been overly physical. The Islanders usually a little bit more physical. The Columbus Blue Jackets really haven't mustered that much offense. That's a good thing.
Foligno backing up, floats one to the net that changed direction. Johnson stopped it, didn't control it. And Kuhlman, who has the Islander goal, banks it off the boards.
The Islanders needed to give Johnson an opportunity to settle in and gain a little confidence. He struggled in his last 4 or 5 starts. The Islanders have certainly, as a team, have done their part, limiting the Blue Jackets to really not that much going. So he should feel pretty good about himself and certainly settled in.
John Tavares trying to fight through. Wall that was put up by Wenberg and others. 44 to go in the period. Wheeling ahead is Moran. Jeremy Moran, former Blackhawk, scoops one wide. Picked him up recently for Tim Erickson, son of former NHLer Yanni Erickson.
He's trying to establish his career as an NHLer. Scored 47 goals with Kitchener in the OHL, so he has some pretty good hands.
Minute 20 to go here in the first period. Anders Lee knocked down by Wisniewski. Lee back on his feet. Wenberg's got the puck. Lee and Okposo keep chopping away. But it's fired off the boards by Connaughton, and that one is going to go for an icing. They'll bring it back into the Columbus zone with 1:04 to go in the period.
Michael Grabner would love to get back on the score sheet. As we've talked about, he hasn't played a lot this year. Possesses that good speed, and when he used it to the outside, creates time and space for himself. A nice wrist shot off the post. So he was able to beat the goaltender, but he wasn't able to get it into the net. Michael Grabner, when he's at his best, has got those feet moving at a very rapid pace.
Final minute of the period. Nielsen, Wenberg on him. Now to Martin. Nielsen right back to it. Sent back to the blue line. Hickey lines it up, steps up, fires. Save made by Bobrovsky.
Now the forwards couldn't get to the net. Thomas Hickey tried to delay as long as he could, waiting for his wingers to get to the front of the net. Columbus did a pretty good job in slowing them down.
28 seconds left in the period. Nelson races ahead. Forced to the boards, trying to squeeze through, but Trout has none of that. Play by Dalton Crowder just lined up Nielsen.
Old-time hip check.
Nelson, pardon me, yeah.
Old-time hip check. You don't see that all that often.
Hamannik's shot changes direction.
Kuhlman got a part of that, Howie. In fact, Kuhlman's hot today. You might see him scoring a couple of goals.
Well, he'll have to wait till the next period in order to add to the one that he had in this one. First period ends. Kuhlman for the Islanders in the first minute. Shortly thereafter, on a power play, Johnson for Columbus as the teams walk off even 1-1 in the end of one.
Well, you talk about good first periods. Last night, the Devils only had 2 shots in the first period. Tonight, the Blue Jackets only have 3. So the Islanders doing a lot of good things defensively, but spent an awful lot of time in the offensive zone. Had some good opportunities. 16-3. You certainly have to give the edge to the Islanders. A good, strong period. A good way to start in a building that you haven't had a whole lot of success.
They've won just once in 10 games here. So, in the end of one, the Islanders and the Blue Jackets tied at 1. Shannon will be back in our forward intermission report. Some Islanders musical tastes revealed. Set for the second period here in Nationwide Arena, where the Islanders and Blue Jackets tied at 1. To remind you that tonight on MSG Plus, you can join Bill Pito, E.J. Raddick, Steve Valiquette, and John McClain as they break down the local hockey scene and go around the National Hockey League. Hockey Night Live tonight at 12:30 on MSG Plus. After the Rangers and the San Jose Sharks out at the Shark Tank, after which the Rangers come home and will face these Islanders at Madison Square Garden on Tuesday night. But right now, our trivia question is brought to you by Cadillac. I mentioned the Islanders have only won once in 10 games in this building, and they needed to go to overtime to do it. So who had the overtime goal for the Islanders' lone win here at Nationwide? You think about that, and we'll have the answer coming up for you a little bit later on. Noel Kuhlman, the guy on the right, got the Islanders on the score sheet at the 31-second mark of the first period. Guy on the left, Johnson, with a power play goal at 4:22, evened it up, and that's where we are.
Well, the defense has really been scoring for these Columbus Blue Jackets as of late. The defense has 7 goals in its last 5 games, and now 8 in the last 6. That man there gave up 1 tonight. That's Chad Johnson. So the defense has been pretty active scorers when you talk about bringing offense to the table from the defensemen. The Islanders have been pretty good themselves, but not as efficient as the Columbus Blue Jacket group.
8 of those goals. You mentioned the Blue Jackets defense corps have scored 8 goals lately. That's 8 of the last 17 goals that the Blue Jackets have scored. So that's just a shade under half as many goals.
And they got all the game winners. Their last 4 wins have all been by defensemen, game winners. Connaughton with a couple and Savard with a couple.
Well, second period underway here with Hartnell for the Blue Jackets losing it. Kuhlman shot changes direction, and Bobrovsky was looking every which way just to keep that puck from fluttering behind him.
Lightning almost struck twice. Kuhlman would have scored in under 30 seconds to start this period off. And I wonder what the record is for that.
Well, it was the fastest goal from an Islanders standpoint in any game this year from the beginning of the game. The Blue Jackets got it back kind of quickly. So now Bailey scoops it out of the zone with the ice freshly resurfaced. That'll probably go far enough, but it's slowed down sufficiently to revert the icing, although the puck did carry across the goal line.
Just to have a little backspin on that little flip shot by Josh Bailey.
Like your golf shot, right?
Yes, sir. Very nice.
Club champion, by the way, I should point out.
Thank you for mentioning that.
I just thought I'd throw that in. Pump your tires a little. Here's Atkinson closing in, shooting. A save by Johnson. Comes back towards the front, and Johnson sweeps it to the corner.
Nice pass from Tootin up to Atkinson. Spring them on a 2-on-1 break. The Islanders got caught in the neutral zone. Chad Johnson makes his best save of the night. Hasn't had a whole lot at him, but that was a big save early in the second period.
And now Anders Lee checked in center, backed up by Strome. And Hamonic ahead. He's got Strome with room. He shoots off the arm of Bobrovsky. Strome got it back out in front. Goes back towards the blue line, straight. Now at the face-off circle. Or Strome. Strome darting back. Hickey jumping in. Nielsen takes it behind the net.
Strome had the most shots of any Islander in that first period. Howie had 5.
Good back check, and the Islanders keep the puck alive until the Blue Jackets' Collins comes to center. Now for Morin. And he steers it in behind the Islander goal. Hickey takes a shove there from Sean Collins. Comes back in front. Collins can't get the stick down. And Johnson's able to cover up.
It was a good save by Chad Johnson, staying with that shot from the point by Connaughton. Collins headed towards net, had his stick almost in between the legs of Chad Johnson. You can see him talking to the referee. I'll go back to an Islander opportunity. Brock Nelson with a deflection. Good save by Bobrovsky, who is very, very good down low. And here's the 2-on-1 save on Atkinson. Chad Johnson holding his own, getting that foot glove of his, that big trapper, if you will. Up in time to make that save.
And from the draw, Leddy banks it off the boards. Clutterbuck catches it in center. He's got Cizikas on the right, feeds Casey. Now around the net. Actually tried to slip one short side there, but Bobrovsky wouldn't buy it. The net caught it anyway. Boychuk with a hit on Corey Trump, number 26 for the Blue Jackets. And now Bowl knocked down from behind by Boychuk.
Corey Trump giving me that opportunity to play. Jack Skilly was injured in last night's game against the Toronto Maple Leafs. So Trump will get a chance to establish himself as somewhat of a regular for these Columbus Blue Jackets.
Skilly was a waiver picked up from the Islanders by the Blue Jackets. Cizikas doesn't reach it, but Kuhlman does. And he starts to center, moving well into the zone. Shot one off the stick of Savard. It goes to the corner. Brock Nelson there. He took a bump and turned it over. Foligno lugging it out. Kuhlman all over him. And the Islanders recover the puck. Hamonic crisply to Grabner. But Johansson gets it back. Bad pass picked off by Kuhlman. Now to Nelson, who fires wide. And the Islanders almost made the Blue Jackets pay for the turnover. And then a save by Bobrovsky on a redirection by Grabner.
Michael Grabner hustling to get himself in position in that slot area. Deflected the puck, unfortunately, right into the middle of Bobrovsky.
Nelson steers one towards the net. In front, looking for Nelson, didn't get there, and Johnson speeds ahead. Meanwhile, a penalty behind the play, and as an Islander was taken down, they're going to get a power play.
As Brock Nelson was dragged down by Ryan Johansson, tried to get away with a little hook and from behind the play. Referees are a little bit too sharp for that to get by their good sight. Watch, there's a little pull by Brock Nelson. Ryan Johansson, yeah, you know what? He would have been good in the old days. That certainly is a ploy that was used a whole lot. Brock Nelson had a good opportunity, had a lot of weight on that front foot, just lifted it a little bit too much. Might have been using a 9-iron instead of a 7-iron there, Howie.
Oh, sure.
We're talking a little bit about golf.
National Club Championship. There's a pass in front for Leddy as the Islanders set the power play up. Leddy and Boychuk around the points. Boychuk fires, and it's knocked down in front. Tavares after it. Now for Leddy. Back for Tavares. He banks one to Boychuk. 22 seconds gone on the power play. Tavares trying to squeeze a shot through. Can't do it. Puck cleared all the way down. And this Islanders power play is brought to you by New York Lottery. Hey, you never know.
Always tough when you take the puck into the middle of the ice. You're going to be surrounded rather quickly by the opposition, as John Tavares found out.
Leddy checked right there by Johnson at the Columbus line, and the puck caroms out of play.
What a big shot that was from Johnny Boychuk on that pass from Tavares. He said it was blocked. It was more like it was taken. Absorbed by Fedotuden, and he couldn't get out of the way, but that's the tough job of those defensemen, is to stand in front of the net and know at times you're going to have to block the shots willingly or not, but you're going to have to take it.
So Hamonic back at the Islander line. The Islander power play is changed up. Hamonic, Nielsen, Strome, Lee, and Bailey. Nielsen playing a point. Or will it be Strome? Let's see. Strome to Nielsen. And Strome will set up shot at the left point. Takes the shot. Bobrovsky the save. Good save through some traffic.
Well set up play with Franz Nielsen. Ryan Strome and Josh Bailey able to gain control and enter the zone and create an opportunity right off the bat. That's what you call a good solid entry on a power play.
47 to go to that man advantage for the Islanders. Hamonic across. Nielsen fires. Save Bobrovsky.
Another big rebound. Nobody in front. Anders Lee was there for a bit.
Now Strome for a Hamonic one-timer. He broke his stick. He's got to defend without one as Foligno races ahead. Foligno against Hamonic. Gets the shot. Johnson the save. And there's no further play.
Nice play by Travis Hamonic. That's all you could do on Foligno is back up, make him go to his backhand or his forehand. Foligno chooses to go to the backhand, and Chad Johnson stays with it. But Travis Hamonic, watch him just back up, make him go to his backhand. Nice move by Foligno. But again, nowhere to go for Foligno as Hamonic just backed up. We used to talk about it all the time. Why don't you just back up right into the Zamponi entrance on one-on-one plays?
Well, on that play, Hamonic obviously can't use his arms. So is he only staring at the crest on the jersey and that's it?
That's it. That's all he's doing is saying, hey, you know what? I'm not going to let you get around me and have a breakaway. You're going to be able to shoot the puck, and that's it. I'm going to stay in the middle, and I'm going to force you to go one way or the other. And you're exactly right, Howie. And Travis Hamonic played it the best he could play, particularly with a goal scorer like Foligno.
Now the penalty's over. Johansson out of the box. The team's at full strength. Icing waved off. Islanders miss on their first power play chance of the night. And the Blue Jackets clear.
And that was a good effort by Casey Cizikas to get in there ahead of the Teuton, saving icing.
Hickey had been knocked down. The Blue Jackets go back to work trying to get a forecheck here in the Islanders zone. Johansson feeds the blue line. Connaughton to Dubinsky, trying to slip out from behind. Put it out in front and slithered right along the goal line. Wisniewski a drive block.
There's the size and strength in front of that net to ward off Hickey.
Now Dubinsky gets it back from Hartnell and fires one wide. And it curls around and out of the zone. Clutterbuck racing. Out comes Bobrovsky. Clutterbuck keeps the heat on before he spins out in the corner. And it's carried on by Connaughton. Now for Scott Hartnell. And the bouncer gathered in by Johnson. And there's no further play. 12:53 remaining. Second period. 1-1 game.
Islanders won, Blue Jackets won in the second period. Ex-New York Ranger Brandon Dubinsky almost broke the tie. Good strong work in front. You talk about balance and strength in front of the net. Dubinsky hangs on to that puck all the while maintaining control. Narrowly misses scoring a goal as it bounces off the far post. Chad Johnson was tested a little bit there, but it's tough when you get those big forwards in front of the net, backing you up away from the top of your crease. Thomas Hickey did a good job. Chad Johnson played his angle perfect.
So 12:45 remain here in the second period. Worked around to the far side. Islanders outshot the Blue Jackets 21-8. Boychuk misses a bouncing puck. Speaking about the ice, we haven't mentioned the puck bouncing nearly as much tonight as it did last night. Players were saying before the game tonight that the ice was fine yesterday for the morning skate in New Jersey, but during the game it just got worse and worse.
Yeah, and you can always tell them, you know, when the guys they get the puck cleanly off their stick, the puck is hopping all over the place, so you can always tell exactly what's going on.
Appears to be pretty good here.
Yeah, here because you know the stick handling is so much better, and there's a cleaner shot. Not having to chase it as much after it hits their stick. And they, like I said, they just look a little smoother on the ice. Although some guys are never going to look smooth, Howie. I'm sure. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to mention names though.
Okay. You've got to pay extra for that.
Yes.
So the face-off deep in the Columbus zone. Tavares wins it. Hamonic across to DeHaan. Wrist shot grab held by Bobrovsky. And speaking of John Tavares, I started to talk before about his first goal last night and what he was trying to do. Remember we talked about the goaltender Kincaid moving backwards, and was Tavares just throwing it blindly that way, or was he picking an area? He said he was trying to hit Kincaid with it, but he wasn't specifically trying to put it exactly where he did, which is to his lower leg. He said, worst case scenario, I've got the puck to the front of the net, maybe we get a scoring chance that way. But he was intentionally trying to bank that off of Kincaid, and he did just that for a goal.
And would you expect no less from John Tavares than that kind of honesty, saying I wasn't hitting the exact spot, I was just trying to get it there.
Well, because I thought from where we were sitting, looked at first like maybe he got him around the upper back, but it was much lower down the back, the back of the leg, and it couldn't have been in a better spot given the way Kincaid was moving.
No risk on that particular play, and a good smart move by John Tavares. And those guys that score goals, they just have that instinct to get it towards the net at those key situations, key times.
And that's The Blue Jackets buzzing a bit in the Islanders zone, but Gahan finds Hamonic, and he banks one out to center.
Good
Back by 2.
Yeah, good save play, too. Well, we talked a little bit about Scotty Hartnell, how important he was last year to the Philadelphia, or a number of years to the Flyers. But we haven't said his name a whole lot, and that's a good thing. And I think that's a testament to the Islanders with their defensive play thus far.
1:06 left in the second. Dubinsky keeps it in. Squeezed to the boards by Lee. And the Islanders back out. Tavares shrugs off Hartnell. An easy thing to do. And Hamonic gets it back. He takes a hit from Dubinsky. Knocked Hamonic down. And the Islanders have iced the puck.
Islanders Lee couldn't find the handle around that red line area. So the Islanders, although they just made a change, so they're certainly not tired. Johns Nielsen good on the faceoffs. We're almost halfway through the game, and the Islanders 22-9 in shots on goal, and certainly they have controlled the offensive flow of this game. They've had better opportunities, clearly, but I think more importantly is they've really been able to hold Columbus to really any kind of offensive thrust.
Mentioned the All-Star game will be played in this building over a week from now, and a lot of teams in the NHL are going to get upwards of a week off, including the Islanders. Nielsen's shot goes wide. Nielsen out there now with Anders Lee.
Almost 8 days. Their last game is the Monday afternoon, and then they don't play again until the Tuesday, I believe, against the New York Rangers.
And the reason I mention that more than any is watching Lee and Strome and Brock Nelson on a different line tonight. But the guys who were the kid line, they're going to be tested here in the second half, and so they'll certainly benefit by that big break coming up. Zizekas brings it in across to Strome. Centers, they score! Matt Morton going to the net, picks up the goal, and the Islanders have taken a 2-1 lead.
That was an odd man rush for the Islanders, created by Brian Straight, but what a smart play by Ryan Strome. He continues to amaze me with his hockey sense, his calmness, his coolness, his patience out there. Matt Martin, as you mentioned, how he drives towards the net. There's the drop pass by Zizekas, and then Ryan Strome hangs on to it. A lot of guys would have let the shot go, but Matt Martin's got his stick on the ice, and that's a shot pass, if you will. Look at Matt Martin, turns his head, takes a look, and just shovels that puck right into the net, and acknowledges Ryan Strome right away and saying, what a heck of a play.
But you've always talked about Strome's vision, and you call it hockey sense. A lot of people call it instincts, but it was on display there, wasn't it?
It really was. Just a tremendous read by Ryan Strome, but a four-man rush created by Brian Straight, and good drop pass. I believe it was from Zizekas. And just a well-played goal, well-planned, well-executed play on the Islanders' part, and a huge goal for them to reestablish that lead.
9:24 to go in the second. Blue Jackets bring it back in. Drop behind the net, out in front looking for goal. His back was turned, and Grabner gets rid of it. So icing coming up. About those kids, as the games pile up later in the second half, and Ryan Strome right in the middle of that, they're going to play a schedule that they've never experienced before. How much of a toll does that take on you as you get into February and March?
Well, it's more than the physical part of the game. It's the mental game. As you go down that stretch, everybody's ready to play, and all the players will tell you that the pace picks up, the awareness picks up. But when you haven't been through it, you don't have that experience in the National Hockey League. You have to make sure, that you eat proper and you get your proper rest. And, with the experience the Islanders bring, that's where the guys like Johnny Boychuk and even Tavares and Leddy, really can help the youngsters get through the upcoming last 20 games, if you will, when that surfaces.
Martin with his 6th of the year from Strome and Hickey at 10:04. The Islanders lead, which they actually took 31 seconds into the game and then gave back less than 4 minutes later. So Leddy now to Boychuk. Head for Grabner. He played it into the zone. And back by 2. And across. Played out by Prout. Knocked right back the other way. Shots 23-9 Islanders. And Tavares back to the New York zone. Deals one pass to Poso, but on to Boychuk. The Islanders need a change here. So Foligno starts ahead, and Boychuk slows him down with a thud. And Hartnell throws his 2 cents in as things get a little more chippy around the Islander bench area, but doesn't look like anything further will evolve. So it's safe to step out with 8:05 remaining in the second period, and Martin putting the Islanders on top. John Tavares is very much in sync with Islander fans who have taken to chanting yes, yes, yes after every Islander goal at home. So they've got Tavares doing it too on the ice to celebrate his overtime winner last night. How did that all come about, John?
Yeah, I think it's something that's caught on, and I think in the locker room we've noticed it, and I think it's great. Just support from the fans, how passionate they are, and something unique like that. So just kind of came to mind, and something we've talked about a little bit in the room and have enjoyed from the fans. So yeah, just spur of the moment.
Well, the Islanders are really getting involved in it as the Hahn shot is stopped. Matt Martin really was the impetus behind getting T-shirts created saying yes, yes, yes that are in the Islander room right now.
They usually try to have a catchphrase, if you will, Howie, to kind of define your season, and the Islanders have stumbled on one, if you will.
Well, the fans started doing it, and what's great about it is that it's unique to the Islander fans because it's a wrestling thing, and that's how it started, but there's no other NHL fan base in the league doing that. Hickey shot wide, so if there are any copycats, if you hear that in any other arena, I think the Islanders get some digs or something on that, don't they?
Got the patent is what you were saying?
Something like that. But it's great. It's something that not only the fans enjoy, but it's pure. It's organic. There's no taunting involved. There's nothing derogatory about it, and it's really taken on quite a life of its own at the Coliseum.
Yeah, and what I like about it is the Islanders have accepted it. They're not fighting it. They're not trying to disavow it in any way, shape, or form. They're having fun with it, and why not? Hockey is a game of emotions, so go with it. Go with it.
Hope nobody gets a bill from Vince McMahon. Johnson holds on with 6:54 to go in the second period.
Good PR for them, too. I mean, we're talking about them all the time.
I don't know. Bruno Sammartino never had to go yes, yes, yes. But these guys...
Or the Hulk.
Yeah, that came later.
That came later,
you
yes.
remember Chief Jay's Strongbow? No.
I remember Andre the Giant. That was a long time ago, right?
Yep. Now you're talking relatively same era. Flipped in by Connaughton and dumped into the corner.
I think you like saying that name, huh? Connaughton.
Wisniewski shoots one off of Anders Lee. Dubinsky trying to slip out from behind. Martin throws one to the net, but pinballs to Strome, and the Islanders should escape here. Strome banks it off the wall. Connaughton in trouble, turns it over. In comes Lee, backhand scores! Anders Lee! And somebody on the Columbus bench might be yelling Connaughton right now because he turned it over, and Anders Lee is the one. Well, he made a defenseman look like the sewer worker that Ed Norton was, and it's 3-1 New York.
One of these days, but Anders Lee takes advantage of it. Puck crazily, we talked about the good ice while it was bouncing late in the period. Look at this move by Anders Lee as he takes it out on his backhand extension, has the long reach, and gets Bobrovsky to move from his right to his left and then goes back in the 5-hole. Very nifty move for the youngster. Showing him the puck and then quickly going on the backhand through the 5-hole. Big goal for the Islanders now as they've established a 2-goal lead, but a tough break for Connaughton as that puck was bouncing. He tried to chop it in half, didn't have any luck with it, and Anders Lee takes advantage of that situation.
Never think of pins and needles and pins, but that's another story for another time. Clutterbuck up the left wing now, trailed by Cizikas, drops it off, back for Clutterbuck, broken up right off the stick of Letestu, recovered. And now Leddy across to Martin. And he drove that off of Savard.
Right off the hand by Savard is in a little bit of pain. It's a quick snapshot by Matt Martin with Savard in the right glove area. But what a nice try by Casey Cizikas and Clutterbuck on that 2-on-2 little given goal, circling behind the two defensemen. Almost worked, but good imagination on that play.
And back to get it is Liddy with 5:22 to go in the period. So 3-1 New York. Islanders scoring twice here in the second period to break a tie. Outshot the Blue Jackets 26-9, but the Islanders go offside and will step out. So Martin and then Lee, about 3.5 minutes apart. It's 3-1 New York.
Welcome back to Nationwide Arena. Here in the second period, the Isles have a 3-1 lead over the Blue Jackets. Coming up on the Chevrolet Intermission Report, I'll be talking with Anders Lee. We'll also have highlights from this second period. And the guys with Hockey Night Live in Manhattan, they'll also have a great segment to get you caught up on what's going on around the league in the hockey action today. All right, guys, let's put it back up to you.
And we look forward to Shannon chatting with Anders Lee. That is Anders Lee, the guy who scored the goal to put the Islanders on top 3-1. Shannon with Anders Lee.
What are you trying to say?
I'm just, excited to hear what Anders has to say. A penalty coming up here.
Yeah, I actually, I would like to know a little bit of a breakdown on that semi breakaway, what he was seeing, and that was his best move, or does he have more?
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, that too.
So there's Anders Lee. He'll be chatting with Shannon, and the Islanders now are going to the power play. Scott Hartnell will sit it out. And Todd Richards' night gets a little more aggravating by the minute or so, it seems, with Hartnell in for slashing. And the Islanders' power play is brought to you by New York Lottery. Hey, you never know.
Todd Richards is just saying, this, let me operate with a full team, maybe for one game.
Leddy waiting along the boards. Bouncing puck eludes him. And the Blue Jackets come out. Dubinsky to the slot. Backhands one that sails over the net.
Islanders have to make sure they don't get lazy on this power play to really put a little dent in the chance for the Columbus Blue Jackets to come back if they could score on this play.
Albert trying to slip out from behind. Remember, it's the Islanders on the power play here.
Yeah, they're not working hard enough for me, Howie. They got to get a little bit more intensity out there. Kind of snoozing a little bit. Columbus looking to make something happen.
So in comes Tavares. Puts on the brakes. Bounces away from Nelson. The Islanders recover with Tavares. Knocked off the puck by Johnson. Played by Jack Johnson.
Real hard work by Jack Johnson, able to clear that puck. As I said, the Islanders were getting outworked in that first minute of the power play. I'm Capuano sitting on that bench. I might be screaming a little bit to get these guys to pay a little more attention on this power play.
Which has 50 seconds remaining and is really not even started yet.
No, it really hasn't. Columbus is looking for a shorty.
Franz Nielsen bothered by Foligno, and here are the Islanders still in their own zone until Strome can skate it out. Strome took a little tug from Foligno, recovers the puck, 28 to the power play. Islanders set it up now. Bailey for Strome. Hamanek's open on the point. Instead it goes in behind. Lee for Bailey. Now to Lee. Lee banks it back to the point to Nielsen. 12 to the power play. Hard pass to Lee. Looking for Bailey, deflected away, and Foligno sends it all the way down. And that'll take care of the power play.
Not much happening on that power play for the Islanders. You mentioned how they never really did get anything going. It was almost like it was a third period power play. Islanders overly cautious.
Well, here's Connaughton back out after the turnover that led to Lee's goal. Hickey turning away from Morin. And Cizikas brings it ahead, basically pitching one towards himself, gets to it and tried to put it out in front for Martin, comes back, they score! Straight through it at the net. I don't think Brian Straight ever saw that puck go in, but the Islanders now lead 4-1.
Looked like it bounced off someone in front. I don't think it hit Matt Martin. We'll watch the parade to see who's going first. A lot of times that will tell you it's Clutterbuck that led the parade, but look at the good speed by Cizikas, who's able to get to that loose puck. Straight follows up on the play. That's just a bouncing puck, a rubber ball, if you will. Not sure if that hits anybody as he just chops it. Yes, in the middle of the ice there. It hit Ryan Johansson's stick, deflects it into his own net, but good for Brian Straight to jump up on the play, recognize that there might be an opportunity. He creates the opportunity. A little bit of luck there. Never hurt anybody, and the Islanders have extended the lead, and a nice goal for them. 4-1 now with just a couple minutes left in the in the period.
Well, Brian Straight's role has changed really to that simply of depth defenseman on this roster. He's playing for the second straight night, and that's after being scratched for 11 games in a row.
Talk about taking advantage of an opportunity.
But here's one for Dubinsky, a save made, but a penalty coming to the Islanders. And the Blue Jackets, who scored their only goal tonight on the power play in the first period, will get one here after Straight scores a goal and now takes the penalty.
Nice pass from Calvert over to Dubinsky, and there's the hook by Straight. A big save for Chad Johnson, and that's got to give him a little bit of confidence. And that's the type of goaltending that the Islanders are expecting from Chad Johnson. The big save at the opportune time. The rest of the Islanders will have to kill off this penalty for the next couple of minutes. But a big save just the same for Chad Johnson.
So, just under 2 minutes remaining now. There are 3 fewer seconds that remain on Straight's penalty than there are in this second period. So effectively, this period will end with the Blue Jackets on the power play unless they score quickly. And they've got Calvert behind the net, putting it out in front. The Hahn was knocked down, and then it's sent back towards the point. This is Johnson. And Johnson straight on. For Dubinsky. Blocked by Cizikas. And Johnson holds it in. Savard. And Johnson again. Savard, the right-handed shot. Johnson shot. Blockered away by Chad Johnson. Hamonic tried to chop it out. Could not. Minute 8 to go on the power play for the Blue Jackets. Savard to Johnson. Dubinsky closing in. Shoots one and hit a stick and went wide. Final minute of the period. Calvert around the net. For Johnson at the point. Back for Calvert. Dubinsky. And then Savard prevented getting the stick down by Hamonic. DeHaan unable to reach it before Johnson, but then as it caroms off of Johnson, DeHaan clears.
A good aggressive play by DeHaan, recognizing that he could get to the puck in a hurry. First blocks it and is able to clear that play.
So a half minute remaining to the period. Foligno brings it in. Intercepted by Nelson. He sends it all the way down.
Near opportunity for Michael Grabner, who's only a half a step away from possibly having a shorty.
And the Islanders clear again. A dozen to the power play. And 3 more to the period. Slowly ahead was Wisniewski. Knocked away. Bailey throws it all the way down. The power play ends. Now so will the period. A splendid second period for the New York Islanders, who score 3 goals and take a 4-1 lead over the Columbus Blue Jackets. Pittsburgh Penguins, in case you're playing scoreboard at the halfway point of the year, are trailing Montreal 1-0 late in the second period. So the Islanders, a first-place team when play starts tonight, would certainly love to be one and strut into Madison Square Garden on Tuesday night. But right now, we ask you to stay tuned for the second period intermission report presented by Chevrolet. Shannon, as I'm sure you know, will chat with Anders Lee. And we'll have a whole lot more coming up as well. So 3 goals for the Islanders in the period. Martin, Lee, and Straight. It's 4-1 New York. Islanders will take a 4-1 lead into the third period here in Columbus, and they would love to take at least a piece of first place into Madison Square Garden on Tuesday night when they face the Rangers. And we'll have it for you, live coverage on MSG Plus. Gets underway at 6:30 with Visa Islanders game night. Islanders, Rangers Tuesday night on MSG Plus, with both teams playing awfully good hockey.
They really are, and the Rangers out in San Jose tonight, so we'll have to see if they continue in their winning ways. But regardless of that, it'll be a real good battle.
Now, you mentioned the Islanders trying to win in this building. They've only done that once before in 10 prior games. Our Cadillac trivia question and answer: Josh Bailey scored the only overtime goal, or scored the overtime goal, and the Islanders win in this business. This building, I should say, coming up on 5 years ago. See John Tavares. It was Tavares' rookie year in the NHL, when the Islanders were wearing what the fans call those water wings jerseys.
Yeah.
Well, they're not the worst of it, those jerseys, that's for sure.
And Bailey finds himself back on the Tavares line. So it took Jack a few years to get him back there, but he has. They're not getting any offense tonight, but they don't need it. The night before, they certainly did, with Josh Bailey scoring that opening goal. But Ryan Straight having a good night. Happy to be back in the lineup. He's a steady individual. Nothing fancy about him. Just does his job. He's a smart player in the defensive zone. But nice to be able to contribute offensively. So good night for Hickey and Straight, as you mentioned. Thomas Hickey with Matt Donovan and Edmonton and Vancouver struggled a little bit, particularly in Vancouver. So it's nice to get back on that flush sheet again. Because when you're -3 in one game, it takes a long time some nights to get it all back. I've been there.
He's got it back tonight.
Yeah,
anyway.
he really does.
With a +3, but right now the Islanders starting with Nelson, Grabner, and Kuhlman up front. Leddy and Boychuk the defense. As the Blue Jackets have to get something going in the Islanders zone. Work back to the blue line. Johnson threw one towards the net. That hit a leg. And out comes Kuhlman. Grabner racing ahead. Takes the pass to the backhand. Didn't get much of a shot off as he was hounded defensively and, in fact, effectively by Savard.
Savard just didn't stop skating, and thank goodness for him. Grabner, with his speed, all he needed was a half a step. Could never shake loose.
And now Tavares exchanges with Bailey. JT in over the line. Lost it on a stick check by Dubinsky. Hamonic nudged it back into the Columbus zone.
And I like to see the Islanders in their first couple of shifts just establish puck possession down low. Nothing fancy. Get to the red line and chip it in and play the chase game. You're up 3 goals. You don't need to be turning the puck over and try to make something happen. It's not necessary.
Well, the Islanders in their own zone here with Hamonic moving ahead. Leading the right wing was an elevated pass off of a Poso stick, and the Islanders will change. Minute 25 into this third period. Tootin up the left wing. And that shot popped away. Collins took it. A couple players going out for spills.
Moore and good hard work trying to just hold his balance.
And now Straight throws one around the boards. Bobrovsky out to cut it off. Gave it away to Lee. Just keeps it deep. Strome locked up in the corner with Connaughton.
Connaughton having a tough night. -4. So his partner Wisniewski was -3. So we're just talking about having bad nights and how difficult it is to get back on the positive track.
Connaughton is a kid from Edmonton. Actually went to the same high school in Edmonton as Mark Messier did.
The former Vancouver Canuck draft pick, is he not?
Yes. Or is it yes, yes, yes?
Yes. Trying to find a home. Has been playing well, but a rough night tonight.
Now Bull angled in the neutral zone by Martin. And Gahan back to play the puck. Bearing down on him, Letestu. And Kuhlman brings it in, drops it from Martin. Martin pulls up, shot it off the leg of Johnson. And ricochets right to the stick of Bull. Just about 3 minutes gone now on the third. Islanders have outshot the Blue Jackets 27-13. Thomas Hickey for Nelson. And ran off of Johansson. And Foligno recovers for Columbus. Straight didn't get it deep. But he's got a chance again, and this time he does.
Second time was the charm.
Islanders completing a change. Foligno moving to center. Good feed by Hartnell to Johansson. He shoots, save. Johnson, rebound, score. Foligno pounds home the rebound. And the Islander lead is cut to 4-2 at the 3:33 mark of the third period.
Well, that's another tough start for the Islanders. They have that 3-goal lead. And now they have to deal with the Columbus Blue Jackets and the emotions of their fans. And now a little momentum. They're able to score within the first 5 minutes. Good move to the middle by Hartnell. Not very good rebound control by Chad Johnson as it's kicked right out in front. And Foligno, who is a gifted goal scorer, is left unchecked. And now the Islanders will have some work.
And you would expect a push, a surge, if you will, by the Blue Jackets. They've got their crowd back engaged. They're within 2 with a host of time to go. 16-16 now here in the third. Came back to the front. And Bailey scoops it out to center. A bouncing puck. Tavares gets back and throws at the net. Bobrovsky blockered it aside. Tavares taken down by Teuton. Oposo recovers. Now Leddy couldn't get a shot off, but he holds the puck. Leddy spins it the other way. Teuton first to get it.
It was a good job by Wisniewski to get it to go down on that potential shot from Leddy. He wisely decided not to have it blocked.
Johansson and Hartnell got the assists on Foligno's team-leading 18th goal of the year. And so for Ryan Johansson, that's a 10-game point-scoring streak now.
He's been on quite a tear. One of the reasons why the Columbus Blue Jackets have been one of the best teams over the last month and a half in the entire National Hockey League after their very, very poor start, not because of their play, but because of all the injuries they had to deal with.
Blue Jackets control. Moran moves it up the middle. Collins going wide against Hamonic. Sean Collins turns it behind the Islander goal. Nielsen was back. Hamonic shot it off of Collins. Wrestles with him a bit as the puck is curled to the near side. Gahan gets rid of it. And Moran gets it again. In for Collins. He didn't hold it. The Blue Jackets need a change, which works just fine for the Islanders, who answer it themselves. Gahan across to Hamonic, who is about to change. So Hamonic now throws it deep and said, all right, he goes to the bench. He was on his way, and then they decided to engage him in the play.
Quickly changed his mind as the puck headed in his direction. You always have to be careful when you're thinking about making a change. The puck comes in your direction because the guy coming on the ice is not always paying attention, though he ought to be.
Cizikas flattened from behind. There'll be a penalty. Savard took him down, and Cizikas, who you might remember broke a jaw last year. And I don't know exactly what got the brunt of that hit, whether it was the facial area or not. Casey Cizikas took the hit, and the Islanders will get a power play.
Always a tough call as far as I'm concerned. Casey down low and then spins around quickly to his, turns his back on Savard, and Savard's half in the checking mode, so it's a tough call for me. Savard is a guy that plays a solid game. There's where you have to hold up in today's game. You get a good hard look at him. So you hear that hard check as he pushes. If you had it just eased up on him, Howie, then there probably wouldn't have been a penalty. But once you see the numbers on your opponent, you have to ease up on it, not finish your check. And that's tough in the game because the adrenaline's flowing and you're looking to finish your check.
I wonder, Butch, Casey looked a little disappointed, and I think what's happening is that Damian Hess, the trainer, is asking Casey Cizikas to perhaps get checked out. Make sure that there are no ramifications of that hit that would spur concussion symptoms. Casey was trying to tell him he's all right.
Just give him a minute or two to relax.
So the Islanders on the power play. It's a 2-minute boarding minor. Leddy to Tavares. Tavares now to Nelson. Back to JT. Out to Nielsen at the point. Franz Nielsen down the boards. So Leddy. What about a shot? Tavares has it, tees it up, instead feeds Oposo, who shoots, and it goes wide off a deflection and carries out of the zone.
Either one time that puck, Kyle Oposo looked for a second to think about making a pass. Would have been better served just to shoot it like that.
Oposo does a save. Bobrovsky. Calvert had it chipped off of his stick, but Wisniewski recovers and clears. And Wisniewski, furious, thinking there should have been a penalty against the Islanders. As he was interfered with, Wisniewski just slammed his stick against the glass.
Like he didn't get a 10-minute misconduct on that particular play. The referee gave him the benefit of the doubt.
Johnson clears the zone with 55 to go to the power play. It's a 2-goal lead for the Islanders, 4-2, 13:25 to go here in the third. Some pressure by Atkinson forces the turnover, looking for Foligno. It didn't reach him, and the Islanders on the power play break out. Lee down the boards. Anders Lee gets to the corner. So does Strome. And joining the party was Bailey to wind it around, but Atkinson comes away with it. And Foligno Throws it all the way down. A bouncer that Johnson had to field. So just 17 left of the power play. Thomas Hickey bounces it in. Slams it off the boards. Kept at the line by Straight. Islanders get it again. Nelson's shot is held by Bobrovsky. 6 seconds remain on the penalty to David Savard. I'll show you why Wisniewski was so angry.
With Brock Nelson, there's the stick a little bit in the facial area of Wisniewski. He was trying to lift his stick, catches him. Wisniewski didn't like it, obviously, and felt the referees missed the call. Well, the referees missed the odd one, but he's really lucky he didn't get a 10-minute misconduct for that particular display of anger or frustration.
Which was not anticipated by the woman sitting in the front row who had that stick make contact with the glass right in front of her. She was more than stunned. 12:58 or 28 remaining in the third period. Penalty is over. The Islanders out shooting Columbus 31-15 are out in front. Look out, ma'am. Ooh! This spring, Broadway's biggest spectacular will be at Radio City Music Hall, the New York Spring Spectacular, starring the Rockettes, March 12th through May 3rd. Visit rockettes.com/spring. So 4-2 New York, 12:28 to go in the third. And the Islanders' Strome beats Johansson on a draw, but the Blue Jackets emerge with a puck. As Foligno lofts a bouncer that's relaxed by Johnson. Missed by Straight, came in front. Good coverage there to eventually knock Hartnell down.
Well, if anything, even though they didn't really get a whole lot going on that power play, perhaps they took away a little bit of the momentum that the Columbus Blue Jackets were able to gather with that goal early in this third period.
Under 12 minutes to go in the period game. The chant here is CBJ, as in Columbus Blue Jackets, if I'm hearing that right. Dubinsky.
Bad play there by Casey. Needs to, again, get the puck. And I can't emphasize that over and over too much. When you have a lead, you don't need to make things happen. Fancy plays at the blue line. Make the opposition go 200 feet each and every time. And the Islanders have turned it over a couple of times in the third period.
Is there a fine line sometimes this early, relatively early in the period, between just making a safe play and kind of losing a little bit of your aggressiveness and tempo?
I think it's a smart play. If you know what's going in, then your forechecker should be able to anticipate that, particularly the guy coming up the middle of the ice and get up there with speed. If you're not sure, that's when you get hesitation in your game. So if you know it's going deep all the time, Howie, it's not all that difficult. You get an odd man rush and you have speed and you can take it in wide, but you've got to keep it in deep. You've got to be able to recognize when you have to chip it in and when your defensive forward has the angle on you. You just can't turn it over, as the Islanders done a couple of times in this third period.
Well, they did have the puck in deep there for a good 20 seconds or so we're down to 10:33 remaining in the third.
And I remember the last game against the Blackhawks at the Coliseum, even though the Blackhawks were outplayed pretty badly by the Islanders, they only turned the puck over 3 times in the entire game. So there's a reason why teams win championships, even if they're playing poorly.
Nelson behind the net with a couple of Blue Jackets on him. Abner put it right to the net from virtually along the goal line. Bobrovsky was able to stop it and control it. Now Straight, a shot got through. Bobrovsky the save, and will hold on.
And I rest my case. There's why you want to get the puck in deep and forecheck the Columbus Blue Jackets. They have struggled in their own zone. They have turned the puck over. That's why the Islanders are out shooting them by a 2-1 margin, as they've been able to get shots from the point and then attack the net, looking for rebounds. More importantly, it's territorial play. Keeps the puck out of your zone. Tough to score when you're having to defend all the time.
So the draw deep in the Columbus zone, Johansson and Strome. And the Blue Jackets come to center. Hartnell slides it to the right of the Islander goal. Right of Johnson, anyway. And the Islanders offside. So we'll step out. 9:45 remaining. Third period. Islanders still up 2. Here's our game recap brought to you by Tri Honda dealers. Islanders opened up a 4-1 lead going to the third. Brian Strake getting on the board for the first time in nearly 1 full year. And yet, the veteran Franz Nielsen still finding time to instruct the youngster Ryan Strome.
Yeah, they're talking a little bit about what to do in the on the forecheck, but that, I mean that's terrific. I mean you have that good camaraderie, that good chemistry between the youngster and the veteran, and then you see Anders Lee chiming in. So there's always teaching going on, there's always communication going on, and that's an important part of the success of the team as well as the individuals and the line.
Here's Strome, nice move with Lee in front, pass to Lee, chipped it wide.
Just got in a little tight. Ryan Strome ran out of the room, and so did Anders Lee. Whatever they were talking about almost worked, Howie. We talk about instant results.
Franz Nielsen would have been the brains of that play then.
It looked to me like he was talking about things he wanted to get done on the forecheck and what happens when the play is reversed. As you can see him pointing his hand on the left side and then the right side. He's the general out there. He's the centerman.
In comes Savard. David Savard pushing one wide. Savard can score. He's got 7 goals. As a defenseman. As Hamonic around the Clutterbuck. Hard feed to Martin, but wasn't held. But trailing is Cizikas, who's okay after taking that hit earlier in the period from Savard.
At least he convinced management anyway.
Chance for Oposo. He can certainly understand the protocol. Damien Hess, the Islanders trainer, noting where the contact was, said, we're not taking any chances here. You go get checked out.
Yeah, just give you a little minute or two to, just to slow down a little bit. Kyle Oposo's had a number of scoring chances over the last 2-3 games and hasn't been able to convert. Missing the net on a number of occasions. Going to get a little less fine.
There's Calvert through traffic, putting it out in front. Johnson trying to control, finally does. 8:05 remaining on the clock.
Well, Chad Johnson hasn't been under siege, only faced 17 shots, but a couple of real good opportunities he's been able to foil for against the Columbus Blue Jackets, and that's important for him, just to get a little confidence in his game when you struggle in the last 3 or 4 outings as he has. Then you want to get a nice feel for the puck, and as I said, he's made a couple of real nice saves. And that'll allow him to continue on and give the Islanders the type of goaltending that they certainly expect from him and need.
Pittsburgh, by the way, 1-1 with Montreal. 12 minutes left in the third. Washington leading Detroit tonight 3-1. What's noteworthy there is that Jimmy Howard, the goaltender for the Detroit Red Wings, who was selected for the All-Star game at 6 p.m. tonight officially. Well, Howard, less than 2 minutes into that game, had to be carried off on a stretcher after a goal by Troy Brouwer. And now, of course, when you look at Yaroslav Halak and Henrik Lundqvist, just among local goaltenders who have had certainly the seasons worthy of some consideration, well, who knows, if Howard can't go, there could be a spot for one of these New York goalies.
So that certainly gives the hope for some of the Islander fans to possibly see their goaltender involved in the All-Star game.
I'm just trying to stir it up even more for Tuesday.
You know what?
Night.
But why wouldn't why doesn't he deserve it as opposed to anybody else? I mean, he's had a tremendous record with the Islanders. He's been the MVP of the Islanders, and certainly has an awful lot of wins to his credit. A good save percentage. So
he's your Islander MVP?
Well, yes, he is. Yeah, he really is. So I mean, for me, he's done every bit as much as anybody else has done. Lundqvist, Jimmy Howard, if you will. I mean, Pekka Rinne obviously has had a fabulous first half for his hockey club, but look at his save percentage is .914, and don't forget where he was in his first 3 or 4 games. So really, you take that into consideration, he's probably operating more around .920, .921, over his last, 20-plus games. So, I mean, he deserves it for me as much as anybody else. Why not?
Well, let's see. First thing is you hope Jimmy Howard's okay.
Absolutely. Well, I understand Kenny Howard's going to be reevaluated tomorrow. So, yeah, we're not wishing him any long-term injury or anything like that. But if there's an opening, let's get our man in there.
Here's Strome with 7 minutes to go in the third.
John Davison was talking about him. About what a nice young man he is and what a good, keen competitor he was with the St. Louis Blues. So he has John Davidson's vote.
Islanders changing here. They've outshot the Blue Jackets 35-17. John Davidson's vote would also be for a more healthy squad.
Oh boy, yeah, he was lamenting about his team. Tough luck they've had when we talk about injuries, a number of injuries. The payroll that's been sitting in the stands. None of it good.
That always factors in.
Well, it does. I mean, you pay a lot of money to these guys, and you want to see them perform. It doesn't help when they're sitting up there eating popcorn.
Martin floats it into the Columbus zone. Turned ahead by Johnson for Foligno. Rink wide to Johansson. He's beaten to it. In the corner by Hickey. 6 minutes remaining in the third period. Islanders up 2. Hand pass if a Blue Jacket touches next. He doesn't. And Leddy hounded here by Foligno.
Leddy using his speed to get away from Foligno. The hound after the rabbit, so to speak.
And Johansson back to get it in the Columbus zone. Lead pass for Calvert.
Almost a breakaway. I don't think Calvert expected that pass to get past line straight.
Atkinson for Wisniewski. Across to Fedor-Tutin.
Never a good play when you carry the puck towards your partner. You kind of run out of room and options. That's exactly what happened.
And now Oposo has Tavares on the left. Oposo can't get it there. Good play by Wisniewski, and then it goes in. I think that went off a Blue Jacket.
Not sure if that was Tavares' goal because he stopped right by the goalpost. The initial pass was blocked.
And the Islanders now lead 5-2 with 5:06 remaining in the third period.
John Tavares is the lead guy, so I'm thinking he got the shot. Kyle Oposo tries to make that pass. It's blocked. Watch John as he stops. Dubinsky goes right by the net, and that puck actually goes in. It's not Tavares' goal. It's going to be Kyle Oposo's goal, and that's a much-needed goal as it caroms off of Bobrovsky. But notice that play, though. Tavares stopped by the net, Howie, and Dubinsky went by. Not a good play by Dubinsky, although it had no real effect, but it could have.
Dubinsky went by, and the fans are going bye-bye.
Yeah,
the moment that puck went into the net, I looked up, and all of a sudden, the aisles were flooded with people vacating.
Well, that was, for most fans, I think seals the deal for the Islanders. Well, until that final whistle goes, nobody should be letting up, but certainly a huge goal. A big one for Kyle Oposo, I said earlier on, only a few minutes ago. He's had numerous opportunities to score, and it figures that a lucky one would end up in the net.
And off of Bobrovsky, the Islanders regain their 3-goal lead. Trout in the corner. Get it to the net. Hamannik outlets to Nelson. And so Nelson banks it ahead. Butch, I'm now reminded of what you said right around 24 hours ago during the third period in New Jersey, and just how huge a period you thought that was going to be for the Islanders, who had lost their previous 2 games, and what it would do to the mental state of the Islanders had they not won that game last night. And now here they are on the verge of 2 straight wins after the 2 straight losses, and 1 final game on the road trip at Madison Square Garden on Tuesday night.
Well, yeah, I obviously thought it was very important because it comes in here now with the Islanders being able to relax, a little pressure off them, having won a game and not extended their losing streak. Columbus playing so doggone well.
Here's straight across to Hickey. And that's broken up and lifted out of the zone.
Now they can go into Madison Square Garden, as you mentioned, strutting their stuff, feeling real good about themselves. No, really, when you look at it, they're 6 games, they're 4-2 on this road trip, so that's a pretty strong effort. You got to be good about yourself and be able to battle the Rangers in a game that we've been waiting for, where 2 teams actually are playing well at the top of their game, up in the standings. Should be a very competitive match. Islander fans will be into it. Ranger fans will be into it.
It may remind you, Butch, of when you were on the ice for those games.
Yeah, exactly right. James meant a lot in those days.
Chad Johnson took a little contact. The puck in front, swept away by Hamannik, but there will be a penalty here, I think, to the Islanders, with 2:44 remaining in the third period. So Oposo from Bailey and straight, and it is 5-2. However, a little extracurricular activity. Hartnell and Travis Hamannik needing to be separated. But the Islanders, with 2:44 remaining, after that goal by Oposo, have reopened a 3-goal lead. It is 5-2 New York. Islanders will end up with a power play here, as it turns out. They lead 5-2 late in the third. We remind you that after the game, you can get reaction from Coach Capuano and the players, plus highlights and analysis on the Islanders postgame show presented by Mazda, immediately following the action.
Well, I'm sure Scott Hartnell a little bit frustrated with his team's performance and obviously the result. Takes a 4-minute penalty, trying to maybe goat Travis Hamonic into something, but Travis wouldn't fall for that, and now you have really a 4-minute power play, so this game will likely end on the power play note for the Islanders.
Double minor to Hartnell, and thought as the whistle blew, as Hamonic started to move the puck, the penalty was going to be on the Islanders, but it's quite a satisfactory reversal as far as New York goes. 2.5 to go, 3-goal lead, and on the power play, Frans Nielsen across. Islanders can't stay onside though.
Anders Lee, as he was coming across, ran into one of the Columbus Blue Jackets, had to lift his leg, the wrong leg unfortunately, and thus the offside. Cappy sends out his #1 power play. Well, not really, because he has no Johnny Boychuk, so he leaves Travis Hamonic and Kelvin DeHaan. So just going with the lines, not wanting to embarrass Columbus, which is the smart thing to do. Don't need to score any more goals. This game is over.
Oso making his move, turned around, and there's going to be another penalty.
Yeah, I would think so. A high sticking call on the Blue Jackets. It wasn't the smoothest move that I've ever seen with Kyle Oposo as he came across inside the blue line. Now it's going to be a 5-on-3 with the high stick by Atkinson. I'm not sure if he did that on purpose or not, because I said Kyle Oposo was trying to get across. There's the stick as he loses his balance, so that's an accidental one. But look at Kyle, he's kicking it with his feet. He's got his hands and legs going all over the place, but maintains his balance enough for the Islanders to have a 5-on-3.
We'll see how aggressively they pursue another goal here. With 2 minutes remaining in the third, Tavares for Strome. These are division rivals, meeting for the first time this year as the second half begins tonight. DeHaan crisscrosses with Hamonic. Tavares waiting, makes his move on Johnson, and now finds Strome. That is very deliberate. Hamonic put it down low. Oposo across. Tavares couldn't finish, and the Blue Jackets clear.
A blind pass, well, somewhat of a blind pass. Kyle Oposo knew John Tavares was lingering on the far side. John didn't seem to get a lot of that stick on it.
Islanders right back in. 5-on-3 advantage for them with 1:20 to go in the third period. Strome back for Leddy. Boychuk. Tavares. Strome in front, tipped wide by Oposo. Boychuk to Leddy. Well, it is certainly not firing away here.
Don't have to.
The game is well under their control into the final minute. Leddy for Strome. Now Tavares with 51 to go. Johnson going to the bench because another penalty coming to the Blue Jackets here. And right now, both teams, I think, are more than willing to just let these 47.1 seconds get off the clock so they could move on to their next adventure.
And Dubinsky is not happy with that particular turn of events. He went over to the Islander bench, so I'm guessing he's a little angry with the Islanders for the power play. Kyle Oposo, there's a pretty good two-hander by Dubinsky and a good call by the refs. But the Islanders with their power play, and I think that's what Dubinsky's a little upset, is that the Islanders have sent their 5 guys really, and the score is 5-2. But you know what? This is an opportunity for the Islanders to practice their 5-on-3.
In the meantime, it's not like they've been firing away either.
No, they really haven't.
The way they would normally play it under a different set of circumstances.
No, they were just hanging on to the puck, not looking to even shoot it. John Tavares has been given, I think, 2 minutes because he's been told to go to the dressing room. So he won't be around to congratulate anybody at the end of the game.
Well, the congratulations commence in 42 seconds and counting. These teams will meet 3 more times this year. Next time will be on Valentine's Day at the Coliseum.
We were playing in the old days, how you wouldn't go within 30 feet of the net because the two-handers would be coming out at 5-3. Well, it looks like the Islanders have the same thought process, although they're not even really looking to shoot. They're just hanging on to it. Johnny Boychuk's not shooting.
Now it's Leddy with 13. Boychuk lets one go, and a glove save made by Bobrovsky. And for all the opportunities the Islanders have had to do just that during this 5-on-3, that's really the first time that they've gotten their shot from the point. Well, our Land Rover stars of the game, well, 2 of the guys who are not necessarily the biggest stars on the team, but tonight they were.
Yeah, they certainly played a very strong game, scored some key goals at the right time.
And time just about out. Boychuk fires again as the horn sounds. And the Islanders have their 5-2 win over the Blue Jackets. And Dalton Prout getting into it now. I'm almost surprised, really, that Boychuk even took those last couple of shots.
Yeah, really.
But, you know, with all of the chatter on the ice and perhaps the temperatures going up a little bit.
Well, Johnny doesn't know anything else, though, because he's a shooter. So,
yeah,
you know, he'll tell you if it's choice between passing and shooting, and it's a much smarter play for me not to think and just shoot. And he would tell you that. Be that as it may, it's a good, solid effort by the Islanders, continuing on their winning ways, particularly important on the road. 40-18, and they never were. This game was always in their control. Yes, they didn't let's just say, beat up on the Columbus Blue Jackets, but they were solid from start to finish. Good 60-minute effort by the Islanders. Took advantage of some good situations.
So 5-2 Islanders, the final, as they will spend another day or two at least in undisputed possession of first place of the Metropolitan Division. We've got lots coming up here from Nationwide Arena. The Islanders post-game interviews, Jack Capuano, and a whole lot more. It's presented by Mazda, coming up next.